Nah, we got this. We don't need practice. We got this. Kia ora team, my name's Ben and this is
Rama.
And we're going to go through the anterior thigh. Okay, so this big chunky muscle here that comes from the ilium is called?
Iliopsoas.
Good, iliopsoas. And it runs down and inserts into the? So over here? So it runs from the ilium and inserts into this little bump here, which is called the?
Lesser trochanter.
Good. So because it inserts into the lesser trochanter, it's the prime mover for?
Hip flexion.
Good. All right, back up here. So iliopsoas. Then as we come down, this first muscle we see is?
Pectineus.
Pectineus. Gorgeous. And then below pectineus?
The adductor longus.
Adductor longus. Good. And then below adductor longus?
Gracilis.
Good. Gracilis is our long one there. Then this muscle kind of makes an S. So let's call this one Sartorius. So we see Sartorius would also cross the hip, so to do hip flexion. But what's the prime mover for hip flexion?
Iliopsoas.
Good. And why is iliopsoas the prime mover for hip flexion and not Sartorius?
Because it's the bigger muscle.
Good. Sartorius is like a thin, weeny one. Okay. Then, as we go down, we get the rest of our thigh, which is called the? Quadriceps. So our quadriceps are made of 4 muscles, and let's label the ones we can see.
Vastus lateralis, vastus medialis,
and?
The rectus femoralis.
Good. So vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, and rectus femoris. So we've got 3 vastus muscles, but we can only see 2 of them because
the vastus intermedius is deep to the rectus femoris.
Gorgeous. Vastus intermedius is deep to rectus femoris. Okay, so what's the prime mover of these? Prime mover for hip flexion?
Iliopsoas.
What is the insertion of iliopsoas?
Lesser trochanter.
Good. Which of these muscles are part of the adductor group?
The adductor longus.
Good. What are the other muscles of the adductor group?
Adductor brevis and adductor magnus.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, let's go down to Napoleon. So if we were going to look at the origins and insertions of our quads, we've got 3 muscles that insert in to form a V, so they are our vastus muscles. Vastus on the insidus is?
Vastus medialis.
Vastus on the outsidus?
Vastus lateralis.
And vastus, I'm not in primary, I'm not in college, I'm in?
Intermediate.
Good, vastus intermedius. And then the one on the top?
Rectus femoris.
Good, so those are our 4 quads. Why is rectus femoris called rectus femoris?
Because it's a straight muscle.
Good, rectus, straight line, like rectus abdominis. Femoris, because it crosses the?
Femur.
God bless you. The origins of our quads. So what's the one that's deep and sits right here?
The vastus intermedius.
Good. So the origin of vastus intermedius is the?
Anterior shaft
Of the?
femur.
Good. Vastus intermedius, anterior shaft of femur. Then, vastus medialis and vastus lateralis, can they get to the anterior shaft?
No.
Because intermedius is in the way, so what happens with those 2?
They go to the back.
Good, they wrap around posteriorly. So, posteriorly, we've got this line that rises up. So what's the name of this?
The linea aspera.
Good. Linear, straight line, aspera, because to aspire is to rise up. So the origin of vastus medialis and lateralis is the linea aspera. Then, what's the last muscle of the quads?
Rectus femoris.
Good. So there's no more room on the femur, so rectus femoris has to go up to the next bony point, which is,
The anterior inferior iliac spina.
brilliant. So anterior, in front, inferior, because it's below that other bump, iliac, the bone, and spine, which are these bumps on the pelvis. Then the insertion, what is the insertion of all the quads?
The patella and the tibialis tuberosity.
Good.
Tibial tuberosity.
Tibial tuberosity. All of the quads insert into the patella and the tibial tuberosity. So now if we're looking at the actions, all of our vastus muscles, do they cross the knee?
Yes.
So if they cross the knee and they insert into the patella and tibial tuberosity, when they contract, they cause
Knee extension.
knee extension. Good. Do the vastus muscles cross the hip?
No.
So they don't act on the hip. Does rectus femoris cross the hip?
Yes.
So what action would rectus femoris have on the hip?
Hip flexion.
Good. Does rectus femoris cross the knee?
Yes.
Good. So then rectus femoris would also do knee.
Extension.
Good. So which muscle crosses two joints?
Rectus femoris.
What's the advantage of crossing two joints?
You can do actions like running and kicking.
Good. So because rectus femoris crosses the hip and the knee, when we flex the hip and extend the knee, it coordinates our gait. It coordinates our walking, running, and kicking. Let's go here one more time, just for fun. So what's this muscle here?
Iliopsoas.
This one here.
Sartorius.
Sartorius,
Pectineus.
pectineus,
Adductor longus.
adductor longus,
Gracilis.
gracilis. Perfect. Which of these is the prime mover for hip flexion?
Iliopsoas.
Good. What's the insertion of iliopsoas?
Lesser trochanter.
Good. Which of these is part of the adductor group?
The adductor longus.
Good. Adductor longus. What are the other parts of the adductor group?
Adductor brevis and the adductor magnus.
Awesome. What is this muscle?
Pointing to the middle or this
Oh,
one?
I'm pointing to that one there.
The vastus medialis. Vastus lateralis. Rectus femoris.
Good. What muscle is missing from the quads?
The vastus intermedius.
Why can't we see vastus intermedius?
The vastus intermedius is deep to the rectus femoris.
What are the origins of rectus femoris?
The patella and the...
Oh,
No, it's not that. I tricked you.
you did trick me. So origin, where it comes from, the most stable. The rectus femoris can't insert onto the femur, so it goes to the in front.
Anterior inferior iliac spine.
Good. What's the insertion of rectus femoris?
The patella and the tibial tuberosity.
What is the origin of vastus medialis? So it can't insert on the front, so it has to wrap round.
To the linea aspera.
What's the origin of vastus lateralis?
Linea aspera.
What's the origin of vastus intermedius? It's the front.
The anterior
Yep.
shaft of the femur.
What's the insertion of vastus intermedius? So origin where it comes from, stable,
The
insertion.
patella and the tibial tuberosity.
Good. What's the insertion of rectus femoris?
The patella and the tibial tuberosity.
Isn't she wonderful? All right, we're done.
Yay.